Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Bubble Talk. I hope that you guys had a wonderful week. This is Sky, and I hope that we're going to have a really, really good talk today. Today, we have what on the bubble tea menu? See, I already opened it. It actually came with a knife for some reason, and you're not supposed to drink it with a straw. But this is a green tea macchiato with lots of foam. And the trick is, they said, you have to drink the drink and the foam, which has to go at like some type of angle to get both at the same time. Refreshing, only 25% sugar, so it's not too bad. I hope that you guys, put in the room, what kind of drinks you guys have? Do you guys have a latte? Do you guys have like a regular Earl Grey milk tea? What kind of bubble tea and what kind of drink are you drinking right now at this moment? All right, so today we're going to talk about something really important. It is why people have such a hard time finding their talents, right? And this is something really important because lots of people are asking, how do I know what my talent is? Or, how can I find my talent? And it's something that's really difficult because it's hard to find. And we're like, okay, so how do I find my talent? Now, today, first thing you have to know is this. We wish, right? When someone says, what's your talent? Wouldn't it be so nice if finding your talent was as easy as like going to audition show like America's Got Talent, Malaysia's Got Talent, Singapore's Got Talent, Philippines Got Talent, right? Imagine if it was like one of those shows and like your talents all come up and you're like, well, your guitar's not too good. Yeah, next, right? Wouldn't it be nice if they just all showed up? Right? It's like, who are you? I'm your right hand. Okay, so what can you do? Well, I can do a Rubik's Cube with one hand, right? So it would be so amazing if we could just have all of our talents show up and say, this is what it is. But talents aren't easy to find, right? There's so many talents, right? And there's just too many of them. It's hard for us to, there's no one set way of finding your talent, right? So some of us would probably think to ourselves, like, those of you who have faith are like, why doesn't God just tell us? Like, why doesn't he just tell me what my talent is? Like, when you have like your cell phones, you have your markers and all the things you buy, they start with a manual. Like, don't you wish that when you came out of your mom's stomach, it came out with a manual? Like taped to your back or something is like, hello, this is Sky, and his talents are this, and this. And it would be great if God could just give us our talents like in a little express manual, but he doesn't. And what I'm going to tell you today is I can't really tell you like step by step and you will get your talent if you do this. I can't do that because the breadth and the width of how much talent there is out there is so big. It is so wide. There's not like one single step-by-step instruction manual telling you this is how you get your talent, right? So before we get into it today, I want to tell you that this is kind of who I am and why I am speaking about this. Now, there's three things that matter in life, right? Three things are very, very important. Number one is this. It is knowledge, experience, and wisdom. Okay, these three are very, very important, okay? And the first thing I want to tell you is I'm over 40 years old, which means I have some knowledge, right? I don't have all the knowledge. I'm probably older than most of you, not all, but majority of you. But yet, I have enough. Okay. Secondly is I've been traveling to about 22, 23 different countries, meeting tons of people. I've been lecturing, so I have lots of experience. And the last thing is, because I'm a person of faith, I'm a young pastor. Those of you who don't know, I am a young pastor. I am very young for a pastor because, when you think of a pastor, you think of like 60 years old, has a beard, like very, very wise. I'm just take that beard off, right? And the wisdom that I learn is from my faith. Okay, so let's get into this talk. Grab your bubble teas, grab your coffees, whatever it is, and we're going to start talking about how do you find your talents. Okay, so let's make sure that time is going really well here. Okay, so first thing is this. What is stopping you, right? This is going to talk first about mentality. What is stopping you from finding your talent? Okay, and there's three things you have to really understand it. It is your mind, your heart, and your thoughts. Everything is all upstairs. This is the biggest thing that is stopping you from finding your talents. Let's take a look at the first verse today. It's in Mark chapter 9, verse 23. It looks like a weird verse, but I'll tell you why I use this verse. It says, this is basically someone asking Jesus if he could do a miracle, and he's like, if you can. Jesus like saying, you really think I can't do this? But then he says, everything is possible for the one who believes. Which means that before anything even starts, it already starts up here. Before you ask, before you take action, before you do something, you have to believe, right? You have to have that mind, the heart, and thoughts that, yes, it is possible. And this brings me to the first thing. What is stopping you? And the biggest thing out of anything else, it is fear. Fear is the number one thing that stops people from doing anything, right? Because, fear of failure, fear of making a mistake, fear because you're actually scared, right? There's lots of different things out there, but fear is the number one thing. But the one thing I want to tell you about fear is this. Fear isn't something that is it doesn't exist really. It's more of a mindset or a mentality. And let me give you an example of why it doesn't exist. Number one is this. If you look at things that people are scared of, like death. In America, public speaking is number one. It's even more scary than death for a lot of people. So public speaking, death, failure. Some people are scared of bugs, right? Some people are scared of interviews. Some people are scared of their relatives or their mom or their dad, right? There's people scared of everything. But the thing is, if fear was actually real, then what would happen is everyone would be afraid of that one same thing. But when you look at it in life, not everyone fears the same things. Some people can stare at death, and they're okay with dying, right? Some people are okay with failure. We admire these people. They fail. They're like, no big deal. And they do it again. You're like, wow, how did they do that? Fear is something that we build up in our minds, and there's going to be two big reasons why these fears come up, okay? I'm going to tell you these two reasons why the fear exists. There's more than this, but I'm going to tell you two of the big ones. Number one is external, which is trauma, okay? Trauma. Trauma is like some event, something happened in your life, for instance, someone gets bullied, and then in the gym, in the middle of nowhere, these bullies come in and pull your pants down, and everyone sees your underwear. You're so embarrassed. Some people get traumatized by that they will never change at school. They just won't change. Because they're scared someone's going to pull or they put their belt on really tightly all the time because they're traumatized by it. Something horrible, something happened in the past. It triggers this fear in your brain. Let's take a look at this verse in 1 Samuel chapter 7, verse 7. And these people are about to go to war. But it's the Philistines. I talked about this on Tuesday about David and Goliath, the Philistines and the Israelites. But guess what? The Philistines were bullying the Israelites all the time. Look at the last sentence. When the Israelites heard of it, where the Philistines, where they were afraid because they were the Philistines, which means they have this trauma of constantly being bullied. They're constantly losing to them. So when they get bullied, they're like, oh no, I don't want to do this at all. And they're scared even before the battle begins. You've already lost. That is a trauma. And the thing I want to tell you about a trauma is this. Trauma is something from the past, and it doesn't mean you can't do it now. So I'll give you an example. Let's take an example of water, okay? When you're young, 2, 3 years old, you fall into a pool that's 2 feet deep. You almost drown. You get up, and your parents are like, oh my gosh, everyone's frantic. Ah, what happened to my kid, right? And then all of a sudden, you're like, and then you see how everyone's frantic. You almost died. So what happens? Your brain begins to think to itself, danger. I almost died from water. So then from that point on, your brain, as a defense mechanism, lets you become afraid of water. Because the last time you were close to it, you died. And what happens is you grow up, and guess what? You're not going to always be 1 foot tall. You're not going to always be 1.5 feet or 2 feet tall. Now, most of you are like 160, 170, some of you 190, some people are 210. Wouldn't it be weird if someone who's like, I'm 180 centimeters. If I was 180 centimeters and I'm scared to go into a swimming pool that's 2 feet deep, wouldn't that be weird? Because I would never drown. I'm 180 and it's 2 feet deep, and it's like, you would never drown in it. And you know what? I could just learn how to swim. But what does my brain do because of trauma? My brain stops me from doing the things that I almost died from. And it's just what your brain does. And that's why even now, the reason why we fear certain things is not because we're really in danger by them. It's because we were in danger in the past, and your brain remembers it and remembers the result of almost dying. And because it was that serious, it completely shuts you off from it. That's why people who are afraid of heights too, right? How many people actually die from heights? No one really, right? But it's because of the traumas in the past. I'll give you another one. I'll give you another trauma. Another trauma is the Bible. Trust me on this one. There is trauma with the Bible, right? right? Because when you go to church, you did something wrong, they're like, you heathen, you will be judged by the fires of heaven, and you'll go down and live in hell forever with Satan. Oh, you evil person. And people get this trauma because they're like, church is too scary. But here's a crazy thing. A lot of you have been watching my bubble talks, and I've been using Bible verses, but no, it's like, oh, wow, this is kind of cool. You know, the crazy thing is, I've had talks where I don't even use the Bible. And someone asked me, the question is, like, they're like, hey, where'd you get all this information? I say, the Bible. And the funniest thing is, their face goes from this, really? Where'd you get it from? The Bible? Oh, really? So everything they just learned that they agreed with and they were happy about, they rejected because of a past trauma, right? Some people have past traumas, right? So that's the first thing. The second reason we have fear is this. It's because of conditioning. You are conditioned through your environment, right? Conditioning comes from your environment, which in your environment is usually people. And what happens is, you're growing up in these groups, in this environment where there's people around you, whether it's family or friends or teachers or whatever it is, and they are conditioning your mind as you grow up, making you think a certain way. So they'll say things to you like, you can't do that. Oh, come on, you can't do that. Really? What, you're going to be a YouTube star? Really? Well, you really think you can talk in front of people? Really? Right? And they're like kind of sitting there like, you know, they're against you sometimes, or they're really negative, and they're like, it's like, hey man, if you keep doing that, like you're gonna like lose your life, like from doing YouTube. Yeah, man, you'll lose your life. I'm like, where does that come from? But people are like that. I'm not just saying there's negative and positive, but there's a lot of times the fear comes in is when people like our parents or people like the friends we grow up with tell us certain things that aren't true. And this conditioning is very powerful because we're learning it constantly in our mind. You got to remember, from the time of birth, you're a blank piece of paper. And we're just learning. And they're just putting the scripts in your head. Now, are your parents and your friends purposely trying to sabotage your life? And the answer is no. Basically, they're teaching you only from what they know. That's their conditioning. And because it's their conditioning, they teach their children and they show their friends their conditioning. So you have to kind of look and be careful about the conditioning around you. If you look at 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 33, right? It says, do not be misled. Bad company corrupts good character. And it's true. And I'm not saying all bad, you know, if there's bad company, if they're giving you negativity, if they're telling you can't do things, if they say you're worthless, if they say you're dumb, that's bad company. And what's it gonna do? It corrupts good character, as in, really, like you really think you're dumb? You're not dumb. And these two are two of the biggest things. One is external, one is internal. One is trauma, something from the external that comes in, and it makes your brain trigger off so you don't want to do that again. And the second one is internal, where you're learning. You're learning from your environment, from the people that you're growing up. You're being raised in a certain way. And these are certain things that we have to really understand is causing a lot of the fear to come in our hearts and our lives. Okay? Now, there's other reasons too, but I'm going to focus on these two, which brings me to, what is the answer then? So what is the answer for us to finding our talents? Like this, we're stifled. We don't want to try new things. We don't want to do this because we're scared. We have fear. And it comes from certain things that happen in our life. So what is the answer that will tell us, yes, this is it? And I'm going to tell you something. It's going to sound really like so simple. You're like, what the heck? Why would that be right? But I'm telling you right now, the answer is diligence. What? Diligence is the answer for you to find your talents. And you're like, what the heck does that mean, diligence? Like, diligence? See, diligence is a skill. This is going to help you eventually reach your end goal. Look at Hebrews chapter 6, verse 11. I love this verse, right? And it says, we want each of you to show this same diligence to the very end so that what you hope for may be fully realized. You have to be diligent until the very end for that hope to be fully realized. And this is one of the reasons why people stop in the middle, right? Diligence. Now, I want to tell you, like, if you think to yourself diligence is just working hard, you are incorrect. You have to understand what real diligence is. People think diligence is just working hard, putting in a lot of effort. It is part of it, but there's something that you're missing from the definition of diligence. It's not just doing a lot. It's not just, pushing yourself to work. What is diligence? I'm going to show you on the board. The key point of diligence is It is to do things with great care. Now, what does it say? Persistent work with great care. And that's the big one. A lot of people can work really hard and be persistent each and every time. But the second part's really important is great care. Now, what does it mean, doing things with great care? Let me give you an example. If someone is diligent with painting, the diligence will mean that when they're drawing a picture of a woman, they will draw every single strand, one hair at a time, with great care. If someone has a deadline, with great care, they'll stay late at work, making sure that they get everything done at the deadline. It's not just working hard. It is putting great care. It's putting so much into it that everything matters to you, that you want to do it really, really well. This is what diligence is. And that's why you can't just say someone who works hard is diligent. No. We have to understand that the answer is diligence. So then how does diligence help me define my talent? Two things I can tell you today. Number one is, if you are diligent, that's the key. And the first thing happens is you will push yourself to the limit. Because you care about it that much. You will push yourself to the limit and you won't stop in the middle. We just read that verse before that says that diligence until the end so that your hope will be fully realized, not half realized, fully. One of the problems we have is we never reach the limit. And people are just scared of suffering, scared of working hard, scared of sweating, scared of breaking a nail, scared of getting their eyelashes pulled out. They're scared of so many things. You have to push yourself to the limit. And the reason why you have to push yourself to the limit is this. You will never know what you're capable of until you push yourself to the limit. You'll just never know. Which means that you will always hold yourself halfway. Oh, I can't do this, but you can do more. And you'll never do anything in a great way. You'll never do anything in a powerful way. You'll never do anything where the boss says, wow, this person is so amazing. You got to do it with diligence. When you do it with diligence, you can push yourself to the limit. And the reason why the limit is so important, because when you start to hit limits and start doing things at a higher level in a better way, you get more information of who you are. Oh, wow, I can do it. Oh, I can do this. Oh, I didn't know I could do this. Oh, I can do this. Wow, I didn't know I can do this. You're constantly putting more and more information of how high you can go. There's no limitations. You got to push yourself to that limit so you can find out more about yourself. You see, if you don't push yourself to the limit, what happens is you'll never know what talent you really have. Why? Because you'll stop in the middle every single time. You'll never know how great your talent is because you never push yourself to the limit. And if you don't push yourself to the limit, what happens? Then you don't even know if you're really good at it and you just stop in the middle. And it could have been your talent, but you didn't know. If you look at James chapter 1, verse 2 to 4. That's why we got to challenge and push. It says, consider it pure joy, right? Whenever you face trials, many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. So let perseverance finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything. You will reach the point where you find your talent. You got to push yourself. You got to challenge yourself. And that happens through diligence, because when you're diligent, you care. You care what it looks like. You care about your work. And that's why you put in that much more. It's not about how hard you work, but it's also how meticulously and how much you care about the work that you put out. That's diligence. The second and last thing I want to talk to you today about is what? When you have diligence, you will truly realize what your talent is. Right? You're not going to push things to the side. Like, put it this way. When you're diligent, you will realize that there's no such thing as a fear of failure or fear of making mistakes. Why? Because you'll realize when you become diligent is that mistakes are a part of life. It's normal. It's a normal thing of life, making mistakes. You're afraid of failure, but let me tell you what the difference between failure and mistakes. Failure is when you quit. Failure is when you stop. What is a mistake? Mistakes is what it takes on the way for you to become a success, right? Failure is when you stop. Mistakes are part of the process. And when you're diligent, you'll realize this because you make mistakes, you overcome. You make mistakes, you overcome. You make mistakes and you overcome. You'll realize, like I said before, no one is good at anything in the beginning. You're a blank piece of paper. And the thing I want to tell you guys is diligence will push you to realize about yourself, realize about failure, realize about your talents. And I'm going to tell you this, if you quit in the middle, It means that you kept losing, and all that losing it was too much for you, and you'll never get to the win. And a very wise person told me this. He said, the more you lose, the more embarrassed and ashamed you get. So you have to keep going until you win. Because when you win more, you gain more confidence. And when you win more, you realize that you're really good. You have to win more, but the only way to win more is to not quit, but push through the mistakes, be diligent in all the things that you do, and you begin to realize about yourself, about life, and also realize about what are the hidden talents that you have. Talents are like treasures. You got to dig, and you got to find them. You got to pull them out. And you're like, wow. And then when you find them, you're not going to have a treasure chest where it just opens up and it's all gold. You're going to have like just big mounds of junky rock. And you have to melt them. You have to clean them before it comes into gold. And this is why diligence is important. This last verse I give to all of you is what? Philippians chapter 3, verse 13. Last verse today says, brothers and sisters, I do not consider myself yet to have taken hold of it, but one thing I do, forgetting what is behind and straining toward what is ahead. Guys, there's a lot of things that are happening in life, and you just can't change it. And you might have made a lot of mistakes, but you got to push those things behind you, and you have to push forward to the things that are ahead of you. Do not let the things behind you stop you from doing things that you can do right now. It's just like a trauma. I can swim and I can learn how to swim. I can go into water, but I won't because my brain won't let me. You got to throw those things behind and you have to push forward, okay? So I hope that everyone here understood what we talked about today when we're talking about why you're having a hard time finding your talents. I hope that you guys can listen to it, take notes, watch it again, and just understand that this is a really, really amazing time for all of us to start thinking about during this lockdown, this MCO quarantine time, what are the things that I can push myself to do, right? And for me, it's been YouTube. And it's been quite successful so far, and I'm just really happy that a lot of people are being affected. So those of you who are on the Bubble Talk Live Facebook page, just make sure you click the like. Those of you who want to see the older Bubble Talks, we have them all on my YouTube page, Espresso with Sky. They're going to put the link into the room so you can just subscribe and hit the bell. And the reason you hit the bell is it'll tell you when we go live. Right? We're probably going to go live about 15 to 20 minutes beforehand, so it'll notify you we're going live. Okay, so I hope that you guys also, for those of you who would like to go deeper into the Word, especially we're going to be doing Bible studies on Saturdays at 1 p.m. It's going to be a large group. There's no limit. We changed it. We're going to put a bunch of people together, and then after we have the big lecture, we're going to split people up into small groups. And guess what? Zoom can do that, so it's amazing. Okay, so everyone, thank you for coming out today. I'm going to give you guys about 5 seconds. 10 seconds before we get into the question and answer, so start writing your questions down. Well, we've already got questions written down already. All right, start writing your questions down. Okay, so I hope that you guys are starting to write your questions down. We've already got a couple questions here already. So let's take a look at the first question from Kuala Lumpur, KL. This is Cassie. Cassie from KL asked this question. It says, what do you mean by having talents? You know, what if I think I'm not good at anything? And the answer is, it's probably because, well, put it this way. What you said here is true. You're not good at anything if you think that way. It's just your thoughts. In your mind, everything is true. You got to understand that. In your mind, everything is true. You want me to tell you about a talent that no one thought was actually a talent? Eating. There are eating contests and people are winning tens of thousands of dollars, the most hot dogs, the most hamburgers. I saw someone eating, how many sticks of butter can you eat? And some guy ate like 3 sticks of butter. It's the grossest thing. Or you go on YouTube, people are watching other people eat like extreme amounts of food. That's a talent too. There are so many talents out there, and there's talents that people didn't know about in the past. I talked about this on Tuesday what about gaming, esports? People thought it was a waste of time in the past, but now you're making millions of dollars doing esports, right? There are talents there, but if you think you don't have it, you're right in your mind because thoughts are real in your mind. Everything's real in your mind. Every thought is real. What you need to do is you have to turn and look and say, okay, so what did I learn today And now I got to go out and I got to be diligent in something. And Cassie, just to start, you should be diligent in something you already like. Try something you already like cooking or whatever it is, like cooking or for like learning, drinks, making drinks, or something like Instagram. I don't know. Something you really like, start being diligent in it, right? Great care, persistent work. Thank you, Cassie, for that question. We're going to go to the next one in PJ, and this is Jin Lee. Jin Lee in PJ says, how do I break out of bad conditioning? Great question. Bad conditioning. Like we talked about, conditioning is when you're growing up, your parents or your friends or your family always say negative things or say things that like you can't, right? And one of the things, there's a couple things you can do, but the first one is, well, not the first, but this is not the first option, but if they're just but if they're friends, it's good to change the environment. If it's that toxic. I'm going to be honest with you guys. When it's friends, sometimes it's better to just change the environment and find people that are kind of more suitable. If it's family that you cannot change, then what would you do? Because that's your conditioning. The first thing that I want you to understand is you need to recognize that it is bad conditioning first. Like what bad conditioning is there? Like is it negative or they're always down on you? Right? You have to first recognize those things, because once you recognize it, then when they say it, you'll like, oh, that's it. That's what the bad conditioning is. Because once you recognize it, then you're able to discern between, can I accept it or should I not accept it? In the past, you're conditioned by you're worthless, so you just think you're worthless. But now, as you've grown up and you're matured a lot more, first thing you have to do is you have to recognize what is bad conditioning in your environment. Recognize it first, and from there, you have to be able to discern between the two. And after that, you're going to have to work step by step how to break out of it. For me, even if it's my family, like I love my family and everything else. However, if it's really, really bad atmosphere, I just don't spend as much time with them. Like I'll tell them, but I will spend less time with them because it's not healthy for me either. In the end, like this might be difficult for Asians, because I'm Asian, but yet I'm American. The last time I went home was like over 5 years ago. And all the Asians are like, oh, how did you go without seeing your mom for over 5 years? I'm like, pretty well, right? Do you miss your mom? Of course I do. Do I miss her cooking? Of course I do. But it's a little bit more independent, where you should be able to be a little bit more independent. Like your life is not revolving around your family. Because sometimes it's toxic and sometimes it's dangerous, right? So you have to be able to discern really well in this case, okay? But I would start with that one first, is recognizing what is bad, the bad conditioning you're getting in your environment. Cool. Next one, James, is it James? James Chin in Malacca. Wow, Malacca. What's famous in Malacca? Food, all right, just like everywhere else. Penang is food, right? JB is food, everything's about food. James Chin says, how can I push my limits yet not suffer from a burnout? Oh, great question. How can I push my limits yet not suffer from a burnout? Okay. Do you know why burnout happens? You got to think about this very carefully. How can people push themselves to the limits and then not burn out? You're like, what? How does that happen? It's easy. Burnout happens because there is no ending. You don't see an end. This is one of the reasons why people hate the MCOs and stuff. If the MCO never had an end date, we'd be like, what the heck? Like in America, do you know why people complain? We might think to ourselves like, hey, look at these Americans complain. They're all about freedom. But my reality is this. If they said to them, we're going to try a lockdown for 2 weeks first, and then we'll reassess, then everyone would be like, okay, then in 2 weeks we'll know. Just like they do in Malaysia. We'll do one more 2 weeks, right? But in America, there was no end date. It says, until we find a vaccine. Do you know how crazy that is on the mind, the uncertainty? People need an end point. The reason why people burn out is because they're doing something without an ending. The reason why some people can go straight to the edge is because there's an ending of what they're doing. And when they get to the end, they stop, they take a break, they're done, and then they'll choose to find another challenge to do. Right? You have to have an ending. Burnout happens because you're working so hard, but imagine if you're working so hard and you never see an end. That is what burns people out. Okay, let's go to the next one. Thank you, James, for that wonderful question. We're going to go to Ying Ying in KL. I have a lot of hobbies, but do not focus on one in particular. I wouldn't say that I'm good at them and just average. How can I discern which is my talent? Well, this is yin-yang, right? Yin-yang. How can you discern which is your talent? I think you should start with like narrowing it down to maybe 2 or 3. I'm not sure how many you're doing right now, or maybe 1 or 2. And what I want you to do is I want you to become diligent in it. Like, really get good at it. Really put great care into it. Because the one good thing about being diligent is this. Even though you do something and it might not be your talent, you are still going to learn from it. You're going to learn mentality. You're going to learn drive. You're going to learn passion. And you're going to learn that you can actually do it. You're going to learn what your limitations are. And you're going to be like, wow, I'm growing. So if anything else, find 1 or 2 things you really like and just push. Just push, right? And then get to the point. But don't sit there with like no ending. Give yourself time to do it. It's like, I'm going to do this for 5 months and I want to make sure that I have 100 of these or whatever it is, right? But choose 1 or 2, go diligent in it. And then you're not going to just discover that this is not your talent, but you'll also discover new things about yourself like, wow, even though I don't like this, it's not my talent, I'm really good at this. I'm really good at pushing myself. I'm good at overcoming, okay? So that's the first advice I give you. Next one is Ivy Fu. Ivy Fu, I'm not sure where she's from. Does liking to do something a talent? I'm trying to figure out what that means. So just the fact that I like to do something, is that a talent itself? And to be honest, I would say yes. Do you know why? There are some people that don't like they think they don't like anything, and they don't try anything. At least in your case, you will try lots of things. That's a great talent, because since you my talent is liking to do stuff, which means that you're gonna start to be good at a lot of things. And your talent might be being very good at a bunch of things, right? But I don't think that's not a talent. That's a talent. Some people find it really hard to motivate themselves to do anything. Okay? Wow, Ivy, that's a great talent. All right. Next is Meg. Meg in Japan. All right, all the way from Japan. I always think there's someone who has a similar talent to me, and if I found the person, if I find that person, I stop doing that thing I was planning to do through my talent, thinking the person can replace my place, and there's nowhere to. Oh wow, how should I change this way of thinking? One thing, like this might be another topic we should talk about, is why comparing yourself. And one thing I do want you to know is like changing the way that you think. First, you have to change the perception in your mind. Number one is, no two people are exactly at the same point in time. And I'm going to give you this one parable, okay? Imagine everyone has a watch. And when the watch strikes 12 o'clock, then something good happens. Like you get blessed with something, okay? But the thing is, everyone's watches is at different times. Someone's at 11:55, someone's at 11, someone's at 10:30, someone's at 9, someone's at 5. The problem is, you're watching someone at 11:59 get their blessing, and you're like, oh, what about me? Oh, there's no way I can do it. Put it this way. YouTube has like billions of people doing lectures. Billions. Can you imagine if I checked up every person that was doing the same thing I was doing? I wouldn't start. Oh my gosh, there's 122.75 million people that do the exact same thing as, can I ever be as good as them? No, when you compare, it's a very unhealthy thing, because no two people are at the exact same point. That's like, if I take it at an extreme level, that's like a 6-year-old looking at me and say, oh, how come I can't talk like this guy? And I'd be like, because you're 6. Just grow up another 36 years. Oops, that's my age. Right? Just, everyone's at different levels. And what you have to realize is the person that you're really fighting against is actually yourself. And that's what should drive you, doing better than before. Doing better than before. Right? Like here, we have an awesome team working on this on this set here. Remember, we had blue, we had brown before. Before we had like this little cagey thing with the heart-shaped flowers, which totally doesn't fit me. Totally doesn't fit me, right? And then, sometimes I didn't have a bubble tea, sometimes I did, right? So, I didn't have this screen here. So many different things, and we're constantly improving, right? And, what we have to understand is we're not comparing to anyone else. But we'll look at other people and say, wow, they did it like that. Oh, we should do that too. Which means that the way you should be thinking is not so much, why are they so good, is, oh, what can I learn from them? That's where the mind should change. How can I learn from them? They've been doing this for longer. How can I learn? Okay. Thank you, Meg, for that wonderful question. If you have any more questions, you guys can just put in the comments too. David, I know David, from Indonesia. Tanuwijaya. Oh man, I think I forgot already. Wijaya. Okay. What if my friends tell me that I'm good at something, but actually it isn't my passion? Don't worry about it. You don't have to do it. You don't have to. But I would try it. Because you'd never know. Sometimes we have a passion only because people are telling us what we think we're good at, or we tell ourselves what we think we could be good at. But honestly, we don't really know. Which means when someone says you're good at something, it's a good start. Try it out for a bit. It's not forever. Whatever it is, give it a fair amount of time. Be diligent at it. Say, you know what? 3 months, I'm going to try this out. I'm going to put my diligence into this just to see. Because remember, no matter what, you're still going to learn from it. It's better for you to run the opposite direction for 10 kilometers and be in the wrong direction than staying in the same spot doing absolutely nothing. Do you know why? Because at least when you went the wrong direction, you learned what you don't like. And you learned skills. You learned about your mentality and your heart. It's better to go the wrong way and learn something than stay in the same spot and learn nothing. And if I were, you don't have to do it. Personally, myself, if I haven't found my talent, I try it. I put a specific limit on it, but I try it. Yeah. But it's up to you. Yeah. I think it's the last question for today. Last question. Guys, you got great questions today, and this is, wow, a lot of questions. Wei Jie on YouTube. Cool. Wei Jie. What does he say? He says, is talent necessarily something that you like or something that you are good at, or is it the combination of both? It can be a combination, or it can be singles, or it can be none of them. Because there's a lot of times people realize what they're talented at. They're like, if there's one point that I want to tell you is this. I didn't put this on today's lecture, but I was going to, but I didn't. But it's, nobody knows their future. No one knows. And haven't you ever had it where you do something, you become successful, and then you look back at all the things that happen and everything connects, like, oh my gosh, oh my God. And like for me, with faith, everything connected. Like, oh my gosh, God led me and he connected this to this to this to this. Wow. But you never see it while you're doing it. When you connect the dots of your life and how you got to the certain point, you never see it in real time. You always see it when you look back, which means what? We don't really know what our talent is. But I say start with things that you like and you're passionate about, because that's where you'll actually do it. And you'll learn whether you like it or not. And you'll learn whether it's a real talent of yours or not. Right? I know some people who do certain talents. Like, for instance, someone who's a missionary friend of mine. And they never wanted to be a missionary. Until they kind of, not forced, but they're like begrudgingly did it. And when they were able to impact people's lives the way they did, they loved it. And they realized that the talent or the thing they really wanted was to impact and change people's lives. And they realized that was the best way to do it. So sometimes it's about what you like. Sometimes it's about what you're good at. Sometimes it's both. And also sometimes it's none. And this is why you have to be diligent. Diligent and try different things. And as you're doing it right now, if it doesn't work, try something new. And if it's something that's a little bit too, say for instance, it's a job, you want to switch jobs, you might want to, you don't want to just quit your job, but research it first and then do it on the weekends just to try it out. And then decide whether you want to quit your job for the next one. Because what if you quit your job for another job, but then you realize you don't like that one either, right? So it's good to always put your diligence into something, even if it's just for short amounts of time. Like, hey, I'm going to try it for 10 weekends and to see how it is and how I like it, okay? All right, thank you so much, Wei Jie from Singapore. I'm very grateful and thankful that all of you guys gave just awesome questions today. I hope you guys are going to have a wonderful week. It's already Thursday. Tomorrow's the weekend. Yay. Everyone, have a wonderful weekend and have a good bubble tea or a latte or whatever you have. And we'll see you again next week. Bye-bye. Oh, see you again on Saturday. Saturday, 1 p.m. Everyone, in the link below, So you're going to put the link again. Make sure you sign up. We can have as many people we want in that room. It's going to be fun, amazing, Saturday, 1 p.m. And those of you, once again, on Espresso with Sky, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell. If you're not on it, you can see all the Bubble Talks. And before Bubble Talks, we called it Bread Talks. And you get to see those ones too. All right, everyone, have a wonderful weekend. See you later. Bye-bye.